Return to Horror High, the 1987 release by New World Pictures and later distributed by Anchor Bay Entertainment in 2002. Not necessarily the best film I've ever seen. It's definitely just a very loose horror type film. Just sort of one of those story within a story type pictures. It's basically based on the fictitious 1982 murders which happened in a high school. We have this sleazy film crew that's returned to fictionalize or make some sort of a profit off of making a film based off of these events. Probably the only short-lived highlight of the film is the fact that this was actually George Clooney's first film role, and he's actually only on screen for about the first 5 minutes before getting killed off, and that's probably the best move on his part, is just getting out of there as quickly as possible and just try to save face while he still can. It's not necessarily the greatest story in the world. There's definitely a lot of nudity. If that's pretty much all you're interested in, then go for it. You won't really be getting much out of the story anyway, of course. I'd always seen the movie around in video stores. It always looked interesting. I was actually looking forward to seeing it. And I was actually hoping for an actual story, and not really happening. Once again, this is what I get for watching movies while I have insomnia. But obviously watching bad movies rather than loading up on a bunch of sleeping medication, which doesn't work, lesser of the two evils theoretically. So the film does take some minor twists and turns, not really much in the acting department or story department, but they do try to steer you and lead you to believe that you know who the killer is. Eventually that person gets killed off and we have a new suspect, of course. The kills are very fast-paced. It doesn't take too long before people do start dying off in the film. Unfortunately, they're not dying fast enough. The movie lasts way too long. So eventually we do have some confusion going on as the actual movie as opposed to the fake film that it's being made at the same time. It's definitely a story within the story. It does become confusing at times as there is no distinction. Eventually you do find out last minute what is sort of going on between scenes. But it can be kind of annoying at times, especially if you're just looking for a straightforward story, which this really isn't. Eventually we do make our way down to somewhat of a cellar or a hidden room within the school. We find out that the killer has been pretty much staying there all along, never really left the actual crime scene, which I guess would sort of explain why he never was found. But all of these murders, basically, the original murders, were just based on a father's overprotective tendencies, which led to these murders. It does tie into an officer who has been staying on the scene, sort of just kind of scoping the place out, supposedly trying to provide half-assed security, which he obviously couldn't follow through on. But we eventually do, quote-unquote, find out who the killer is. Definitely would not recommend this movie unless you really like punishing yourself with bad acting, bad stories. Then I'd say go for it. You're in for a treat. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have today. I will talk to you later.